You're attending the hearing and we're so happy to have you. Just find a seat. Good evening and hello, Detroit. Hey, as chair of the commission, I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to order at 5:06 p.m. This Zoom webinar is being live streamed on YouTube. For anyone in the public watching who would prefer to watch via a different platform than they currently are using, please visit our social media at Redistricting Michigan to find the link for viewing on YouTube. Our live stream today includes closed captioning. Closed captioning, ASL interpretation, and Spanish and Arabic translation services will be provided for effective participation in this meeting. Email us at redistricting@michigan.gov for additional viewing options or details on accessing language translation services for this meeting. People with disabilities needing other specific accommodations should also contact redistricting@michigan.gov. This meeting is being recorded and will be available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. This meeting is also being transcribed, and those transcriptions will be made available and posted on michigan.gov/MICRC, along with written public comment submissions. There is also a public comment portal, which may be accessed by visiting michigan.gov/MICRC. This portal can be utilized to post maps and comments, which can be viewed by both the commission and the public. Members of the media who may have questions before, during, or after the meeting should direct those questions to Edward Woods III, who is our Communication and Outreach Director. He can be reached at woodse3@michigan.gov. For the purposes of the public watching and the public record, I will turn to the Michigan Department of State staff to do roll call and take note of the commissioners present.
Good evening, commissioners. Please say present when I call your name. If you are attending the meeting remotely, please announce during roll call that you are attending the meeting remotely. And unless your absence is due to military duty, announce your physical location by stating the county, city, township, or village, and the state from which you are attending the meeting remotely. I will start with Doug Clark.
Present.
Juanita Curry.
Present.
Anthony Eade.
Present.
Brittany Kellum.
Present.
Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending remotely in Reed City, Michigan.
Steve Lett. Cynthia Orton. MC Rothhorn.
Present.
Rebecca Zatella.
Present.
Janice Follett.
Present.
Aaron Wagner.
Present, attending remotely from Charlotte, Michigan.
Richard Weiss.
Present.
Dustin Witches.
Present.
12 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
Thank you, Michigan Department of State staff. We'll now have our welcome and introductions. If there are no objections, hearing no objection, we'll have Commissioner Curry come to us with welcome and introductions.
Hello, my name is Juanita Curry, and I'd like to welcome each of you to the MICRC public hearing located in Detroit, Michigan, as you know. We're very happy you took the time to learn about the Michigan's new redistricting process and how you can engage throughout this process to ensure that your voice be heard. In looking at the agenda, please note that the vast majority of our time this evening is spent listening to you. We are eager to hear your ideas either in person or remotely about drawing Michigan's congressional, House, and Senate districts. In addition to hearing about district lines, we also want to hear about your ideas and communities of interest. At this time, I would like my fellow colleagues to introduce themselves and share where they live in Michigan, the Great Lakes state. And I think we're going to start from the back row with Mr. Lett. Steve Lett.
Good evening. Welcome. I'm glad to see all of you here. My name is Steve Lett, and I guess I'm the Northern Commissioner. I'm from Interlochen, Michigan, up by Traverse City.
Apologies for the interruption. Mr. Lett, could you please speak into the microphone?
We'll try it again. Good evening. Welcome. I'm glad to see you all here. My name is Steve Lett, and as I said, I'm the Northern Commissioner from Interlochen, Michigan, up by Traverse City.
Good evening. My name is Dustin Witches. I currently reside in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And yeah, I'm glad you're all here, and I hope to hear all of your comments. Hello. Oh, I gotta get really close to it. Okay. So what I was saying, my name is Dustin Witches. I currently live in Ypsilanti. I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight, and I look forward to hearing all of your individual comments.
Good evening. Glad to see so many people here. My name is Richard H. Weiss.
Closer. Still closer.
There. Good evening. My name is Richard H. Weiss. I live in Saginaw Township in Saginaw, Michigan. Glad to see so many of you could make it tonight's meeting.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Janice Follett. I live in Highland Township. We're so glad to see all of you here. We're anxious to hear what you have to say.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. My name's Anthony Eade, and I'm from Orchard Lake, Michigan.
Hello, y'all. My name's MC. I'm from Lansing, Michigan.
And as you know, I first stated that my name is Juanita Curry, and I am from Detroit, Michigan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany Kellum, and I'm born and raised from Detroit, Michigan.
And we have two commissioners that are not here. Oh, I'm sorry, Rebecca. After Rebecca reads hers, they're going to come forth, Rhonda and.
Good evening, Rebecca Zatella. I am from Wayne County, Michigan. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Clark. I'm from Rochester Hills, Michigan. It's a pleasure to have you here this evening.
Rhonda.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Rhonda Lang, and as I said earlier, I am from Reed City, Michigan, which is kind of central Michigan.
Commissioner
Hello,
Wagner.
everyone. My name is Erin Wagner. I'm from Charlotte, Michigan. Thanks for having us.
All right, you've heard from all of the commissioners just about the one. And we just like to give you a little information about what's going on today. In 2018, more than 61% of Michigan voters intentionally and deliberately passed Proposal 2, a ballot initiative for voters and not legislators to take responsibility for map fairness and public feedback in the redistricting process and create the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commissioners, better known as MICRC. And for the first time in Michigan's history, the MICRC will lead the redistricting process to draw fair and independent lines. They will be comprised of 13 randomly selected Michigan residents that includes 4 who affiliate as Democrats, 5 who affiliate as independents, and 4 who affiliate as Republicans through a lottery run by the Michigan Department of State. The MICRC has the exclusive authority in this new redistricting process for Michigan's congressional, House, and Senate districts. As fellow residents, the MICRC understands your expectations to draw maps in an open and transparent manner that meets constitutional mandates. Our mission and vision exemplifies our resolve not just for today, but for future generations as well. So in your interaction with the MICRC and its staff, you should witness the core values of integrity, respect, transparency, and being purposeful. Once again, we're glad that you're here and we look forward to hearing from you tonight. So make yourself at home, and whatever your questions or your comments are, we're here to listen to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Curry, for that warm welcome and introduction. If there are no objections, we will have Commissioner Zatella, who is also our vice chair, come to us and share about the public hearings. Hearing no objections, Commissioner Zatella, you have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. Oh, Kellum, sorry. Thank you for coming here tonight. I'm the vice chair of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. To ensure fair and impartial maps, the MICRC is required to solicit public input before drawing any redistricting plan to the Michigan Congressional, House, and Senate districts through holding a minimum of 10 public hearings across the state of Michigan. We're actually a bit of overachievers here, so we're holding 16 meetings instead of the 10. This meeting tonight in Detroit represents number 11 out of our 16 public hearings. The purpose for the public hearings under the Michigan Constitution are to inform the public about the redistricting process, to share the purpose and responsibilities of the commission, and to solicit information from you about potential redistricting plans for Michigan's congressional, House, and Senate districts. So what is redistricting? Every 10 years following the US Census, district lines for the US Congressional, Senate, State House, and State Senate districts must be redrawn across the state and county to reflect their populations. The process of drawing these district lines is known as redistricting. In Michigan, here are the district lines that need to be drawn for the 2022 election cycle. There's going to be 13 Michigan congressional districts, 38 Michigan Senate, and 110 Michigan House districts. The MICRC is the sole entity responsible for drawing the district lines. The MICRC operates in an impartial and transparent manner that instills integrity in the redistricting process. Our public outreach represents fairness, awareness, transparency, and engagement that seeks to obtain at least 10,000 distinct public comments in the redistricting process. At the end of the day, the MICRC must adopt maps for Michigan's 13 congressional, 38 Senate, and 110 House districts. The districts should be drawn to meet applicable federal and state laws, including the Voters' Rights Act. Now let's talk a little bit about what the redistricting criteria that we have to comply with are. So as mandated by the US Constitution, equal population refers to the amount of people in the district. So we have to have equal population in compliance with the Voting Rights Act. Our districts need to be geographically contiguous. And how I explain that to people is we can't have islands separated off with other districts in between. It has to be one continuous district. We have to comply with communities of interest or take into account communities of interest, and I'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide. We have two redistricting criteria that pertain to political parties and political relationships. One is that we can't give a disproportionate advantage to any political party. The other is that we can't favor or disfavor a candidate or a incumbent elected official. We also have to give consideration to city, county, and township boundaries. And lastly, we need to try to keep the districts reasonably compact. So what is a community of interest? It's defined as including but not limited to populations that share cultural or historical characteristics or economic interests. It does not include relationships with political parties, incumbents, or political candidates. So some of the various communities of interest we've been hearing about are neighborhoods, particular businesses, agricultural interests, waterfront communities, and so much more. Although race is important, it is certainly not the only characteristic to identify a community of interest. So what does the MICRC want to know about your community of interest? We want to know, how would you name your community of interest? What is that common bond that creates your community's shared identity? Is there a geographic area that covers your community? What government policies are important to your community? How would keeping your community intact enhance the quality of your representation in Congress or the Michigan legislature? And lastly, are there nearby areas that either strengthen or potentially weaken your community of interest? So why are we here tonight? The The MICRC is here because we want to hear from you about where to draw the lines for Michigan's congressional, state, Senate, and state House districts in Detroit and throughout the state of Michigan. Why should you care about this process? Well, this is a historic new process. This has never been done before. For the first time ever, Michigan residents actually have a say in the redistricting process. Openness, transparency, and public engagement represent the principles of the new redistricting process. And as the third ranked criteria in the redistricting process, communities' interests for the first time have a voice to prevent gerrymandering. Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to you, Commissioner Kellum.
Thank you, Vice Chair Zatella. At this time, if there are no objections, our General Counsel, Julianne Pastula, will come to us and share our guidelines for public comment. Hearing no objection, General Counsel, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you to Detroit for the warm welcome this evening. Thank you. The public comment guidelines tonight that I'd like to cover is that the in-person public comments will be taking place first, followed by the remote public comments. The time limit for each public comment speaker is 2 minutes. Please conclude your remarks when you hear the timer. If any person disrupts the orderly progress of this meeting or refuses to comply with applicable MICRC guidelines and rules, the chairperson may rule that person out of order and/or order their removal from this meeting. As a reminder, please provide your public comment and/or submit proposed maps in the public comment portal available at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, General Counsel. At this time, if there are no objections, we'll now begin the public comment portion of the meeting. Hearing no objection, we'll now proceed with public comment. A few reminders. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide in-person public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. Please step to the nearest microphone when I call your number. But I do like to know people's names, so also introduce yourself to the commission. You will have 2 minutes to address the commission. Please conclude your remarks when your 2 minutes has ended and you hear the timer. We are a warm group. We do not like to interrupt. However, if you continue on to the next paragraph of your public comment, you will hear my voice. The timer will go off as it's supposed to at 2 minutes, but I will remind you that your allotted 2 minutes has ended. To that end, we encourage everyone, whether you're here listening, whether you just want to find more, whether you're here to comment today, please do visit our public comment portal, www.michigan.gov/MICRC. That way, things that you might not be thinking about, things that are bubbling up in your spirit, you can share later, particularly areas of the map that you're specifically speaking about. That is also an area of our online tool where you can play around with your own versions of redistricting. I'll call a couple of folks at one time, but it is up to you if you don't want to stand, if you don't feel comfortable, if you can't, whatever the case is, just know that I'm calling up a group and you can go to the nearest mic that is closest to you. First in line for public comment, 1. 2, 3, and 4, you can kind of stand by. And 1, when you reach the microphone, you can begin speaking.
Good evening or afternoon, whichever one it is. I first of all want to thank the commission for being here and for taking on these positions, because you have a very weighty matter that is before you, which is to draw the maps, fair maps, that are going to represent Michigan for the next 10 years. And I also want to thank you all for expanding the map when it comes to the number of hearings that you are holding, because we know that you only had to hold 10, but 16 allows it so that you could be here in Detroit for the 15th and the 17th. With that, I'm here to speak on behalf of a community that basically really has no voice. That community is the prison population. And from what I understand, the commission does have some authority when it comes to reapportionment and counting citizens where they actually should be counted. And so when it comes to the prison population, on behalf of an organization known as VAC, Voting Access for All Coalition, I am speaking on behalf of that organization and its coalition on the issue of prison gerrymandering. There are 11 states, I believe, at this point that have put into law in place where now those that are incarcerated will be counted where they actually live as opposed to where they are incarcerated at that time. And so again, because this is a 10-year process, the only way that the citizens that are currently incarcerated in prison will be counted and represented where they actually live will be if the commission decides to go through the process of reapportionment, and the infrastructure is already there with other states having done this by law. But if you all have that authority and that power, what I am looking for on behalf of those that have no voice and cannot even vote is that you all make the decision to count them where they actually live. And that data is available. I don't have a map currently. Is that, my time is over? Good day.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. Please go to the public comment tool and finish the rest of your sentence there. We genuinely want to know what you have to say. Thank you. 2.
Yes, thank you, Madam Commissioner, Brittany and Rebecca, for having all of us here today to voice our views and opinions. This new redistricting process is awesome, and all 13 of you really rock. Whoever came up with the inclusivity for regular everyday citizens such as myself and many others to have a voice in how you all will join together as a whole to chalk out the maps of our districts clearly speaks volumes on how far the state of Michigan laws have come in providing a fair shot for all citizens, no matter race, gender, religion, or familiar status, to finally have a voice and be equally heard in this historic event of redistricting planning. With that being said, my name is Artesia Bomber. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Detroit, the county of Wayne, and the 13th Congressional District of Michigan. I am a mother of 10 children. It is said that it takes a village to raise children. Well, it takes a village to prepare for this redistricting as well. I feel that Detroit is a very large city in its own. In fact, the biggest city in Michigan. Our 13th district should have never been compromised to provide only some parts of Detroit. I ask that when you chalk out the 13th Congressional District, please chalk it out as if it were a crime scene. I say that because in a crime scene, that chalked out area is viewed in a more personal space. The investigation is thorough in that area alone. We, the people of Detroit, should have a chalked out map to include all of Detroit and outer communities that thrive just like Detroiters versus richer suburban communities. With the right chalk lines, we can provide special attention that can help Detroit become a richer community as well as outer suburban communities. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Bomber, we appreciate you coming to share your thoughts with the commission. 3 and 4. 3 and 4.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Uhuru. I am the president of the Rosedale Park Improvement Association, and I appear on behalf of the residents of Rosedale Park to urge you to consider the 5 neighborhoods of the Grandmont-Rosedale community as a community of interest. The Grandmont-Rosedale is comprised of 5 neighborhoods in Northwest Detroit, being Rosedale Park, North Rosedale Park, Grandmont 1, and Minnock Park. These neighborhoods are geographically contiguous and historically connected. By way of example, I've lived in Rosedale Park for 10 years, but before that, I lived in Grandmont for 8 years. And when I go visit my old neighbors in Grandmont, I walk or ride my bike because we're in such close proximity. The neighborhoods are also culturally similar. We share a distinct culture of civic engagement and pride in home ownership. We also share a youth sports league, and we co-host a number of community events each year. Just a couple of weeks ago, when North Rosedale hosted a group of Detroit Symphony Orchestra musicians on the lawn of its community house, I saw neighbors from across the community at that event, neighbors from Rosedale, North Rosedale, Grandmont, and Minnock. And that is pretty common at our community events. We truly are friends and neighbors who share common interests. This commonality of purpose was formalized over 30 years ago with the creation of the Grandmont Rosedale Development Corporation, which is the development corporation in our community. Over the past several decades, GRDC has reflected our common economic, cultural, and historical interests through its planning and programs. Grandmont Rosedale is a unified neighborhood and should be considered a single community for purposes of redistricting. And I'll close with that. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. Or
Yes, my name is Percy Johnson. I was here once before, spoke at the Novi event, and I next door neighbor to Mr. Clark from Troy. But I come back again because I really want to speak on the fact that this is truly a we the people, by the people moment. You know, from the very beginning of this process of getting the petitions that it took to get signed for this to be on the ballot, this is truly that was truly a big moment, you know, and to have the concern of this is my fourth commission that I've came, and everybody that I'm listening to that are coming to the mic are distinctly speaking on how they want the lines to be close and represent their cities by city, you know. But I just so want to give you the charge of reminding you that what we're doing here in Michigan, that we got other states that will be paying attention to what we're doing. And this is truly a moment at last that I feel that as a people and as a state that we have rallied together and came together to do something that's going to be fair for our citizens and our loved ones, to where we're getting fair representation from our elected officials once we draw the line. I heard something today from one of your other commissioners, and I'm very excited about that he even mentioned that you're going to draw the lines up, and then you're also going to show at least 3 different maps, and you're going to give us the chance to come back and comment on how you drew the lines. That's big, you know, and I really just want you to understand that what you're doing and the way that you're setting it up is so needed. It's a beacon of hope, I really feel, for our nation. That a lot of us are tired of the nonpartisan fight and confusion. This will bring us together. Thank you.
Percy, thank you so much for sharing your comments. And he is right. We are not even making that effort, but this truly is a momentous occasion to draw transparent and fair maps. And you all, and not just you all in this room, but in the community in general, we urge and seek your input. That's why by the end of this hearing, you will have memorized www.michigan.gov/MICRC because you know, Michigan, you all did vote to have us, and we are mandated to do the work, and we're serious about doing the work, and we are, like, you know,
Sorry to interrupt.
we look like everyone in this room are not. We're your neighbors, we're educators, we're made up of 13 folks that are tasked with doing the work in a way that involves the community. We can't do it without you. We will definitely do it if we, you know, because that's our job, but we do need your input, and we need you all to understand, like he said so eloquently, that this is a chance to feel empowered in a way that you might not have felt before about the process. I'm off my soapbox. Number 5 and number 6. 5 and 6. For purposes of the public record, 5 is choosing not to speak. 6 and 7. 6, you can begin.
Thank you. Good evening, commission members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening.
Can I have you step closer to the mic, and then your time
Got
will
it.
start over, I promise. Okay.
That's okay.
Yep.
My name is Kimberly Crafton. I am a native-born Detroiter, a professional in the field of early childhood education for over 40 years, and a homeowner in Redford Township since 1989. Quite simply, I'd like the commission to use a common sense approach to legislative redistricting. You may recognize that Redford Township is within congressional, state Senate and state House districts that are rather bizarrely configured. I am suggesting that redistricting effort should, one, as much as possible, keep counties, cities, and townships intact. Avoid carving out sections of a distinct community and assigning those sections to adjacent districts for congressional or state legislative purposes. Draw district boundaries that are clearly delineated by boundaries of intact communities. Prevent small areas of a county from being incorporated into the district of another county. And lastly, focus on 2020 census data to establish districts equally apportioned by their number of residents. Moreover, the redistricting effort should reflect an expectation that Michigan's legislative representatives are just that, representing the people of Michigan. To this end, do not rule out establishing a district that may encompass a blend of urban, suburban, or rural areas. Our district designations should encourage our representatives to be mindful of Michigan's residents as a whole and foster sound, affirmative, objective government policies that will contribute to a greater quality of life for all Michigan residents. And I thank you.
Thank you so much. If you'd like, you can give us the map that you just referred to. If you don't have to, but you can give us that if you'd like. 7 and 8, 7 and 8. Are you 7?
Yeah, I'm 7. I'm not actually 7. I'm 71, but
Okay.
you know,
Just making sure.
I've journeyed. Thank you, Chairwoman Kellum. Let me say good afternoon to all of you and all of the folk who are here. Welcome to Fellowship Chapel and welcome to the Dome. I happen to be the pastor here, and so we're just very glad to have you here. Where you're sitting used to be drug houses and weeds and all of that, and now it's a Hope House and all of this. So we're glad to have you here. That's not a part of my time, I don't think. On a hot August day in 1890, delegates gathered at the Mississippi State Capitol building in Jackson to work on a new state constitution. The convention's president, Solomon Saladin Calhoun, a white county judge, put the voting issue like this: let's tell the truth. If it burst the bottom of the universe, we came here to exclude the Negro. Nothing short of this will answer. They adopted a literacy test and a poll tax geared to suppress the Black vote in a state with a Black majority. The Mississippi Plan became the model throughout the South, part of an explosion of Jim Crow laws that ended Reconstruction. We're still in the throes of Reconstruction. In 2018, in North Carolina, Representative David Lewis, architect of redistricting in the House, acknowledged freely that he sought to produce a potent political gerrymander. I think electing Republicans, he said, is better than electing Democrats. So I drew this map to have fostered what I think is better for the country. We use redistricting criteria to gain political advantage. The court said he proposed to give partisan advantage to 10 Republicans and 3 Democrats because he didn't believe it possible to draw a map for 11 Republicans and 2 Democrats. The court understated that in conclusion, the General Assembly was motivated by invidious partisan intent. The North Carolina map was planned and executed to entrench Republican control. A federal tribunal ruled in North Carolina that the state legislature redistricting plan represented the most extensive unconstitutional racial gerrymander ever encountered by a federal court. In Michigan, in 2018, Michigan voters overwhelmingly approved by 61% of the vote, winning 66 of 84 counties, red and blue, of having an independent commission to draw the state's congressional and legislative maps. Still, some folks filed lawsuits to stop this from going forward, claiming it was unconstitutional. Yet here we are Drunk with the wine of political power, there are those who want to select those who vote for them rather than the voters to select who will represent them. We must not allow for that. We in Detroit do not want to go by way of North Carolina or Massachusetts or Pennsylvania. We have already been threatened by voter suppression and a rush of new laws, proposed new laws lurking in the halls of the Michigan legislature. We do not seek to lose another congressional representative to political gerrymandering, thus reducing the political empowerment of the state's largest African-American city. Districts must be diverse, providing a respect for the cities and counties and townships in which they are drawn. They must not be linked or locked, packed, stacked, or racked to maintain the status quo, or providing disproportionate disadvantage to the powers that be. I have just one final sentence.
Your 2 minutes.
Just one final sentence.
We have to be fair.
Okay, she yielded her time to me. I ain't got but 2 or 3 more sentences. She yielded her time to me.
You actually can sign up for a second comment.
You can sign up to speak again.
I'm sorry?
You can sign up to speak again, and then you would have to go at the
See, I
end.
gotta go. I can't be
I
out.
hate to-
I know.
You can give us what you were referring to.
I give it to you. Lord have mercy, I'll give it to you. But at any rate,
I know.
thank you. I apologize. I only had a few left, but I will submit it to you. You're missing the best part.
Charge it to procedure, not my heart. Give us a
Okay,
piece of
all right.
paper.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for that pastoral moment. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Detroit, you all are Detroiting today. And I love it. So let's 8 and 9. 8 and 9. Again, www.michigan.gov/MICRC. Are you 8? 9, okay. For purposes of the public record, we do not have 8 present, and we'll continue to 9.
Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Curtis Lipscomb. I'm the Executive Director of LGBT Detroit. I'd like to read a statement about the people that I serve and the place where they gather. The Palmer Park area began attracting a notable LGBT residential base in the late 1960s, as much of the white population that remained in Detroit moved to the farther reaches of the city. The Palmer Park apartment district had its initial gay heyday in the 1970s, where popular gay bars and restaurants opened nearby along McNichols and Woodward Avenue. It was at Minjo's, which is still operated at 928 West McNichols, where dance instructor Christopher Flynn first took his protege Madonna to experience gay male nightlife for the first time. Some buildings in the neighborhood boasted significant queer occupancy and one home to a number of female impersonators who performed at Bookie's Club, A70, and other clubs, became known as the Drag Academy. Even after many white gay residents moved out to the suburbs, the more than 60 apartment buildings retained a strong gay cultural imprint, now predominantly reflecting an African-American LGBTQ experience. The park itself was a gathering place for social spots, even in the 50s, and served as a location for a day-long picnic held the day after Detroit's first Pride Parade in 1972. Since 1996, the Glades of Palmer Park have been home to the signature picnic of the annual Holiday in July celebration, which I operate. LGBT Detroit is North America's largest African-American found and led LGBT nonprofit organization located right up the street on Greenfield. We request that the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission refrain from dividing this community of interest as maps are developed. Of the 28 maps submitted, only 8 keeps this community of interest together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Curtis, for taking the time to speak to the commission. 10.
Hi, my name is Robin Mifsud, and I'm from Commerce Township. I signed the original petition for redistricting. I signed and notarized and sent in my information to be on the redistricting board, but my number wasn't drawn. I signed up as an independent. It's my understanding that Democrats and Republicans seem to want to, the district areas to have long fingers into which, which spread far beyond the area that they feel they influence and into many other areas. It's also my understanding that the purpose of the redistricting by the people of Michigan is to keep areas together. And I interpret this to be as by county as much as possible. And if not a full county, to at least keep cities and townships together. These areas share governments and schools, neighborhoods, which are critical. And also this keeps the areas reasonably compact. Thank you very much for representing us and your time.
Thank you for taking the time to address the commission. 11 and 12.
Hello. I wanted to say welcome to the commission for coming to Detroit. We really appreciate you coming. My name is Cheryl Webb. I'm a candidate for mayor of the city of Detroit, but ironically, I am a member of voters, not politicians. And I'm an advocate for voters. I came today to talk to you guys just to represent where I wanted to do a map. And I tried, but every time I tried to do a map or think about redistricting, I thought about the homeless. So I just came to appeal to the commission and the citizens of the city of Detroit to say, what can we do? How does the homeless, I had questions. With redistricting, how does the homeless play a role in that? What can I do to help? And what can we all do as a community while we're talking about districts and things to include the homeless? So I didn't know if I would take 2 minutes, but that's all I wanted to, those was my questions and my concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. For clarification, were you 11? Okay. 12, if 12 is present. 13. We'll move on to 13 because 12 is not present.
Good evening, distinguished panel. My name is Charles Shannon, and I'm a lifelong Detroiter. And I would like, as you consider your, I concur with all of the contiguous panel, the input that you've received. But I'd like you also to consider the vision that America is going forward in. We're going to need a 21st century strategy. And this is why these communities need to be together. You're dealing with infrastructure. No one has talked about artificial intelligence yet and how that's going to impact all of the America. You're talking about training. Labor is the big issue for our entire country. The pandemic has shown that. We're short on labor right now. As you go forward and get into President Biden's infrastructure, it's going to happen. We should have happened a decade ago. Training is going to be the issue. And this is where you're going to need a first person dialogue. That's where these communities can benefit each other instead of districts that are configured where it's a third person perspective because there's such an inequity between these people over here and these people over there. So I ask that you consider in your, equations and as you figure things out to understand that these communities need to be together so that they can figure their situations out. I come from an underserved community. I'm right here in this particular community. Whereas 12 communities, I ask that they stay together, but please consider where you're going as we go forward in the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shannon, for taking the time to address the commission. 14.
Thank you for listening today. I'm Sherry Costantino, and I live and work in the 14th Congressional District. The district that looks like a deranged lightning bolt. Well, I live in the part of Harper Woods that's in the Grosse Pointe School District. I talked to our clerk, and she thought it would be easier for elections if we kept Grosse Pointe and the Harper Woods together in the same district. And Harper Woods is wonderfully diverse and brings a lot to that community. But we also have a lot in common with St. Clair Shores and some of the other shoreline cities. A lot of flooding, water issues, things like that. Yet our area is all split up, and it would be much better represented in one district. But the area that I work in is of greater concern. I'm a Detroit public school teacher. The school that I teach at is in the poorest of the poor neighborhoods. Not one, but 2 homeless shelters, the children that we teach. Their issues are very different. The houses around our school have maybe 1 or 2 livable houses on them, or the blocks near our school. There is a huge shortage of affordable, safe housing. No reliable public transportation, no access to health care. Yet, we have the same congressperson who also represents Oakland County, Pontiac down to Southwest Detroit. The district is too split for one congressperson to be able to be attentive to all of the issues. The Northwest Detroit area needs a congressperson who can pay attention to them and assist them with their issues, and hopefully someone who's all in Wayne County. You are the only hope to give them this voice.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 15.
Hello, I'm 15, also known as Nicholas Barnes. First, I want to thank you for being here tonight and sacrificing your most valuable asset, which is your time. That's something you will never get back, so thank you for giving it to us. I'm here to represent the young people of Detroit, the ones that don't understand, the ones that's not educated, or the ones that's unaware, so that you know that we want fair district lines. 61% of Michiganders voted to have gerrymandering eliminated. And out of that 61%, that probably wasn't the whole population. In theory, more than half the people in this room want fair district lines. I feel like if that's not enough for a lot of you, I don't really know what it is at that point. As Detroiters, we have been preyed on for decades by these district lines. Everything from redlining, gentrification of our neighborhoods, insurance or predatory insurance practices, and most importantly, lack of representation. We are finally having our voices heard. Don't let us down like the other half. Be the agents of change. Draw fair maps. I know you can't make everybody happy, but at least try to do the right thing. That's all I'm asking. Have a good day.
Nicholas, we appreciate you taking the time to share your comments with the commission. 17. 16, sorry.
My name is Anita Jones, and I grew up in the Cass Quarter, which is now known as Midtown. I have a bachelor's degree from Michigan State and a DDS from the University of Michigan. I returned to practice dentistry in Ferndale, Michigan for 11 years. And at about that time, I shifted gears and I became a massage therapist. I have been self-employed as a massage therapist since 1990, and I have lived in Ferndale since 1984. The common bond in my community is diversity. Diversity by age, race, gender, and economic status. Politically, my community is Democrat, Independent, Republican, and non-affiliated in descending order. My community is immediately north of 8 Mile, the 8 Mile and Woodward corridor. Keeping my community intact means exactly that. How many things work well when they are fractured or spread out too thin to hold anything? This is about having a cohesive district where district lines don't snake around, go sideways or up and down in narrow bands to reach favorable voters and to any given party. The government policies that are important for my community are access to affordable housing, access to affordable and clean water, access to affordable health care and the right to have say regarding personal health care, access to free and equitable public education. People should have the right to learn to read. Access to living wage jobs, equal protection and service by police, fire, and emergency professionals, access to free and safe public parks and other recreational facilities, expeditious attention and upgrades to public infrastructure. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing the perspective of your community. 17.
Good evening. My name is Chewy Correga. I'm here, and as you will be able to tell, I'm a Detroiter. I want to thank you all for your service, and I want to say to you that there's one word that should govern all of your activities. That word is fair. You must be fair in the process you use and the conclusions you reach. You have a constitutional obligation to avoid partisanship. You have a constitutional obligation to avoid gerrymandering, a constitutional obligation to avoid stonewalling. It's not simply discretionary, it's a constitutional obligation because it is the Constitution of this state that has empowered you to act. You also have a constitutional obligation to not attempt to divest any community in this state. You have a constitutional obligation to not treat Detroit as if it were a stepchild. You have a constitutional obligation to not disenfranchise any particular group of people because of their race, color, gender, etc. You have to avoid those things. And in doing your work, you must be aware and keep in mind and make a priority of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It governs every step, every action that you take. So remember, be fair.
Thank you for addressing the commission this evening. 18 and 19. 18 and 19.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Jamil Martin. I'm a lifelong West Side Detroiter. I once again, like everybody has said, want to thank you for bringing this commission and public hearing to the West Side of Detroit. I want to echo what the gentleman just said. We need fair maps. Detroit, as the largest city in Michigan, the policies that take place by members who vote outside of our area has direct impact on what goes on in as far as policy that impacts Detroit at the state and federal level. So we want to make sure that maps around the state are fair, because it shouldn't be a case where 55% of a popular vote in a state legislative election cycle statewide results in only 47% of the resulting vote total for policymakers of a certain party. So I just want to encourage you guys and ladies, fair maps, please, fair maps.
Thank you,
Detroit
Jamil,
love.
for taking the time to address the commission. 19, you can address the commission.
Hi, good evening. My name is.
Wait a minute, I don't know what's happening with your time.
I'll take Jamil's 30 seconds. Okay. Hi, I'm Nancy Wang. I'm a longtime volunteer and now executive director of Voters Not Politicians, the grassroots group that wrote the constitutional amendment to establish the commission and then worked really hard to help pass it in 2018. Under your stewardship of the new redistricting process, Michigan is turning the page on gerrymandering and restoring voters, not politicians, to the heart and to be the driving force of our democracy. And it's just been such a joy to watch you work and to see everyday Michiganders step up and tell you their story, tell you their interests about their, that their communities have and their needs and make their requests of you. We're glad to see such great turnout all throughout the state so far and today in Detroit. Since the 2018 election, Voters Not Politicians has been hard at work working with communities of interest all across the state, including groups like LGBT Detroit that you heard from today, or Oakland Forward from Pontiac. And our only agenda has been to make this process as open as possible and as inclusive and accessible as possible so that we realize the people's dream of having a truly citizen-run, open and transparent redistricting process. We're really glad to see the commission is taking charge. It's important that you realize that, as I think you do, that the current maps are a complete disaster, that they're the result of a need and a desire to maximize the partisan advantage of one party. And it's important that you realize that you, not the consultants, will be remembered for the maps that are drawn. You're the people who matter here. We know that you're listening with care to each of the speakers and reviewing each of their testimonies. You can deliver fair maps to the people of Michigan by ensuring that the information you're getting is from real communities of interest on the ground, and that stays the focal point of your redistricting process. The people of Michigan have put their trust in you. We thank you again for doing everything you are doing to earn that trust. Thank you. We're so grateful.
Thank you for your support and you taking the time to address the commission. 20.
Good evening. I'm number 20. My name is Jennifer Jameson Lofton, and for the other Spartans, go green. Again, thank you all for attending. I also am very proud of Voters Not Politicians for their work. They've pulled me in and kept me informed, and I appreciate that. As far as the redistricting, my big concern follows speaker number 6, who said to be fair and not to move things if you don't have to. My other concern is because you're basing it on census data, I wonder how complete that's been based on the pandemic and the subsequent issues behind our postal service. Not to lay blame with them, but just that we know there were some issues with mail, people getting things back, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to reiterate what everybody else has said. Please be fair. Please consider what the citizens really want, the voting rights. Keep all that in. But I do thank you for coming this evening and giving a voice to those who do care about this city. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. 21 and 22. 21 and 22.
Don't lose the mic. Good evening, Commission. My name is Ashley Lewis. I'm a native Detroiter. I actually am a product of Detroit Public Schools, a graduate of the University of Michigan. I also work for General Motors. So I'm an auto worker, and I'm also a business owner. So I bring a lot of intersects. I say that to say that one of the biggest things that I noticed, thank God for a union contract, that my economics didn't change, but I literally went from Wayne County to Oakland County to Genesee County. And one of the biggest things that I see is there should be no issue when it comes to education. There should be no issue when it comes to childcare. Many of the auto workers, and I'll tell you, it kills you because most of the time your whole paycheck is going to daycare, in all honesty. And so these are issues that I believe affect working class people. And to me, my community of interest is exactly that. We should not have to essentially work to pay for childcare, nor should our children go to schools that actually don't provide viable education, either for them to go to college or for them to learn a trade, because skilled trades is a large gap that we have in this state, the automotive state, correct? So what I would like to see is this commission actually draw lines that actually addresses our issue of poverty. Literally, the median income in Michigan is $30,000. And perhaps if we work along the lines of economics, we can draw more coalitions and do more for working people and work for the great state of Michigan and for its constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley Lewis, for coming to share your comments with the commission. 22.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and hearing our community's requests. I'm asking that you draw districts that keep our communities of interest intact and resist gerrymandering. My name is Jennifer Fossbender, and I'm a member of a newer coalition in Detroit called the Detroit Hamtramck Coalition for Advancing Healthy Environments. It was born after our previous coalition, the Coalition to Oppose the Expansion of U.S. Ecology, lost our fight against a hazardous waste processing facility, which expanded by 10 times in our community. This type of heavy industry is common in zip codes 48211, 48212, and 48213. In fact, there are 2 US ecologies within a stone's throw in our community, as well as metal scrap yards, junkyards, detention centers, the I-94 industrial zone, and other poisonous industries that you'd expect, unfortunately, in impoverished communities of color. Other things you'll find in this area are farms like Georgia Street Community Collective, restaurants, churches, mosques, a Zen center, schools, and a beautifully diverse community. The area is generally east of I-75, the north side of Gratiot, and up to McNichols. It's important to keep our community together so that we can advocate with our neighbors, some of whom English is not a primary language, some of whom are unfortunately having their water shut off, others are exposed to undue pollution. Our resilient community hopes to stay intact and to fight against polluters and resist the spread of gentrification into our part of the city. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share your comments with the commission. 23.
Good evening. My name is Mark Covington. I'm co-chair of Detroit Hamtramck Coalition for Advancing Healthy Environments. And I'm also the founder and director of the Georgia Street Community Collective, an urban farm on the east side of Detroit, who also services our community with school supplies for our youth. We do clothes giveaways, coat giveaways, and we feed our neighbors. We are located south of the Coleman A. Young International Airport, also known as the City Airport neighborhood. I'm here today to ask that our district, primarily zip codes 48211, 48212, and 48213, not be divided up or changed in any way in any new district remapping. We ask this because of the history of environmental injustices and the increase in industrialization in our area that needs to continue its representation structure. Further division of this area's districts could potentially water down the seriousness of our issues and representation as we are continuing to be bombarded with more heavy industrial projects. It is an area well worth visiting and supporting. Please be sure that as you redistrict Michigan, you keep communities like ours intact. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 24 and 25. 24 and 25.
So I'm going to be kind of repeating some of the things that Mark and Jen said. My name's Kat Diggs. I'm a manager of programs and outreach at Detroiters Working for Environmental Justice, and also a member of the Detroit Hamtramck Coalition for Advancing Healthy Environments. I'm a resident of zip code 48211. I can see our former incinerator from outside my window. It took 40 years of grassroots community advocacy to get that incinerator shut down. And as explained by Mark and Jennifer, the area in which I live alongside zip codes 48212 and 213 are riddled with heavy industry. I can give a brief list. I mean, they mentioned US Ecology North and South, but we also have PVS Chemicals, GM Factory Zero, the I-94 Industrial Park, Mount Elliott Industrial Corridor, Strong Steel Scrapyard, Hamtramck Recycling, American Axle, Federal Train Tracks, the list goes on. So it's a very, very dense industrial area. And it's really no surprise that you would have that kind of industrial density given the demographics of the neighborhoods around there. Extremely culturally diverse, religiously and ethnically mixed communities from Blacks to Middle Easterners, South Asians, and Polish communities, amongst others. And also a lot of linguistic isolation. So oftentimes the data being collected is not always reflective of the actual reality of the area. So I asked the commission, as was asked by many others, to keep our community of interest intact in your process of redistricting and redrawing maps in the state of Michigan. I'd like to reiterate that the communities, not only in this area, but across Detroit, have proven to be incredibly resilient and creative across all the injustices that they've faced throughout generations. And I believe it's important to honor that as you redraw the state.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission.
Good evening. My name is Carol Banks, and I represent the Far East Side of Detroit. I want to echo what number 14 said. We are currently drawn in with Harper Woods, Grosse Point Farms, Grosse Point Woods, and that is totally ridiculous. We have no interest at all with them. If you look at where I live, I'm a representative of the Fairview Block Club. There are only 4 houses on that street. The issues that we have are far different from what's happening in Grosse Point. So I am asking that the Far East Side be drawn in as a Detroit. We have more in common with Highland Park and Hamtramck than we do with the Grosse Point Farms and the Grosse Point Woods and the Harper Woods and all the Grosse Point, the 5 Grosse Points. So it does not make sense to draw Detroit in with those districts. So I am really, really asking that we not be a part of that area because we have nothing in common. Our issues are basically housing. Our issues are basically looking after the children in terms of getting a positive education. Our issues are totally different from them. We have tax issues. If you're living on the other side, you don't have a tax issue because of your income. Where I live at, the average income is about $30,000, and I'm probably a little high because the majority of the people who live in my neighborhood are single parents with at least 3 or 4 children. So you know their income is not really that high. So I'm saying that if we're going to draw the lines, make it fair, make it comparable, and make sure we share the same issues. I thank you for coming to Detroit, and I thank you for allowing me to speak to you and explain to you what the Fairview Block Club feels. Thank you.
Thank you so much and for coming and representing the Fairview Block Club. 26 and 27.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your service to the state of Michigan. My name is Mark Payne. I'm the president of Cortlandt Street Block Club on Detroit's West Side. I'm a lifelong Detroiter, and we are paying attention to this process. In the redistricting process, race, as it is sometimes called, is absolutely matters. In fact, the Voting Rights Act is mentioned in the first criteria. This means you must make sure Black people are not politically marginalized in no shape, form, or fashion. Historically, Black people have had and still do face unnecessary barriers such as the grandfather clause, literacy test, poll tax, and pure sheer violence. And I might add that all history is present and is happening in some shape, form, or fashion. Please pay attention to the areas that the Department of Justice has had under investigation. I also want to thank you for starting off with a clean slate and not just using the old maps. Please follow the 7 criteria. They are in order of importance. Please work your VRA lawyer as it pertains to pulling out the knowledge that he possessed and be willing to put the knowledge into use. Ask all the questions that comes to your mind. Educate yourself as much as possible about Michigan. To my commissioners from Detroit, please advocate our fair share of political power. Advocate on behalf of your city where you grew up and live. This will require being armed with the legal arguments to justify our fair districts. Please advocate for what is already laid out in law. Don't let lines be drawn that discriminate based on race. Please use discretion when hearing comments in person and the public comment tool. Thank you.
Mark, thank you for taking the time to share your comments and for those reminders for the commission. 27.
Hi, I'm Gina Liu. I'm a daughter of 2 Chinese immigrants, and I'm currently someone who lives in Detroit. So I often bike by the old Chinatown on Cass Avenue. It's actually the second location of Detroit's Chinatown after the original location was torn down due to gentrification and racism. I wonder what Chinatown would look like today if marginalized voices were represented electorally. Historically, the voices of people of color have been ignored in determining our own futures, our own education, our own abilities to live and operate in our own homes. Today, we have a choice, but Detroit is threatened by potentially losing a district. When we lose this district, we repeat a cycle of erasing marginalized voices and further disenfranchising multiple communities who have stake in issues across Michigan. Sorry, I lost my place. Today, Hmong, Laotian, Chinese, Bangla, Arab, Black, Latinx, Japanese, Korean, Indian populations all have an impact on their respective communities and the greater Detroit area. Let's make sure they have an impact and these translate to the lines being drawn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 28 and 29.
First and foremost, I want to give honor to God who's the head of my life, and thank you so very much for coming here, coming to District 2. I am Councilman Roy McAllister Jr., and I represent this district. And again, I want to thank you so very much, Commissioner, for coming in. District 2 is one of the most versatile districts in the city of Detroit, and I represent everyone. We have people that are young that came here, like Brother Nicholas Barnes, who spoke. We have senior citizens that have been here and have sacrificed. I am even sitting with 2 high school members that I went to high school with in the 70s. The fact of the matter is, these folks are here, community leaders, presidents of communities are here to talk to you, not talk at you. And therefore, they are asking that you work with them, not work around them. These are the things that we are asking for. I am very concerned because with the way that the census came out, we may lose a district, probably will. But there are those that are up in Lansing and other parts of the state that are trying to conduct voter suppression. This commission can do us right for the next 10 years. Again, we are a very versatile city and district, and therefore it is about the quality of life of people that we are asking you, please, just make sure the quality of life is fair and that the quality of life is considered for everyone. And again, thank you so very much. And I just want to thank everyone that came out here tonight to be a part of this. God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman McAllister. 29. And you all feel free to use both mics if you don't want to wait for this one or the other one to be clean.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening and thank you for understanding. My name is Dr. Constance Simon, and I came to clarify what the first speaker said because I walked out behind him and asked him a few questions. I feel the prisoners in Michigan should be counted for their home residence, not the location of where they are incarcerated. During the last census, there were over 50,000 people incarcerated at that time. And at that time, the inmates were not getting representation where their families needed it, where their schools needed it, where they would return home and there would be a change. It gave numbers and it gave people agency in other areas because they were counted in these prisons where there were 2,000 and 4,000 people in these smaller cities. So thank you for listening to me, and I certainly hope you will take that into consideration because that shouldn't happen.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 30 and 31. And we have 2 mics, keep in mind, 30 and 31.
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
My name is Danielle Stephen Atara, and I'm a lifelong Detroiter who has deep roots in this city through family, friendships, and organizational affiliations. I am a retired public servant that worked in the city of Detroit and Wayne County and have lived on both sides of the city of Detroit. I am here this evening because I do not want Detroit divided or diluted, thus diminishing our power in Washington, D.C. or in Lansing. Detroit is the largest city in the state and has unique needs and interests that require that we have the ability to elect individuals that will represent those interests. I am requesting that the commission keep the following items in mind as you begin to determine the new legislative boundaries. 1, 78% of Detroiters are African American. Thus, the maps of the new district should be drawn fairly that will allow us to select candidates that represent our interests and community. 2, Detroit should maintain 2 congressional seats. To remove 1 seat would dilute its power in Washington, and removal of a congressional seat would also lead to changes here in Michigan and our representation in Lansing. That would be detrimental to Detroit. We also ask that you clarify the commission's position on favoring or not favoring incumbents, clarifying how the commission will share data provided by the Federal Compliance Consulting LLC to ensure that the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is adhered to. And lastly, until prison gerrymandering is remedied via legislation, the commission should incorporate guidelines that account for the district statistics that include this population. Exclude this population of individuals that cannot vote. I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Stephen Attar, for providing those comments to the commission. 31. She's going back and forth and cleaning both.
All right, I like this one.
I just making sure.
All right.
They're doing their job.
All right, that's fine.
But if you all just go to this one, and she has to keep
All right.
cleaning this one.
Long. Greetings. My name is Reverend Dr. Steve Bland Jr. I am the president of the Council of Baptist Pastors of Detroit and vicinity, and I'm also the state president of Michigan Progressive Baptist Convention and pastor of the Liberty Temple Baptist Church about a few blocks down the street. I came here today primarily because you came to our neighborhood, and I wanted to say welcome. Thank you for coming and providing this public opportunity for comments and to be able to do what democracy has done in the will of the people and the voice of the people by saying that they wanted to have a voice in drawing the lines. I will hopefully participate in another forum, given the fact you've done 16. I just wanted to take this one to say welcome, and I've got Bible study that starts at 6:30, so you won't take all my time. But just remember this is not about partisanship, it's about citizenship, and it's about the voice and the will of democracy of the people. Our voice is our vote, and we want to make sure that it's done fairly and equitably. If it'd been done that way in the past, you wouldn't have this much of vehemence of persons who are concerned about processing the current. So I trust you to do the right thing, and we'll be watching to make sure that we do the right thing. Again, welcome. We thank you for coming. And let me also say that as you are doing that work, we're praying for you, because I know it's not an easy task. And so as we do so, listen to the people. When you hear a lot of voices, sometimes their melodies lulls you into a sleep, but the message of the song is most important. And do remember, all of the people deserve equity and voice, and African-American people in the city of Detroit need to be heard. God bless you. We thank you. Have a great day. Keep looking up.
Thank you so much for the warm sentiments and for taking the time to address the commission. 32 and 33.
Good afternoon. My name is Denise Lyles. I am a Detroiter. One of the things I want to echo is what I was hearing from number 20, because it's something that really stuck with me as I was listening to the presentation. Also, I follow you guys online when you're having your regular meetings as much as I can. I'm really troubled because of the census, and you're going to be drawing lines according to the census. Detroit does not need to lose anything. I pray and ask that you guys look at and keep an open mind and an open heart when you do these lines about communities that are together, because communities not only are streets, you're looking at block clubs. I listened at Mark. Mark lives in my area. My family has been in that community almost a century. We're very strong politically, and not just politically, community. And that's what Detroit is about, communities. So please keep that in mind and just be fair. Follow your heart, open your heart, and be fair. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 33.
Good afternoon. My name is Fredia M. Butler, and I am a community activist. I worked to help to form this group. And I'm looking at the panel up here. It's not really a fair representation for the city of Detroit. And this is the problem that we're having, that we don't have people who really represent us, our needs, our cultures, our concerns. And even with the businesses, I'm watching that, and the history, just not only in Detroit, this is all over the United States. When we seem to gain power, they either will bring a highway through to destroy the community, and it seemed as if the community never regained the power it once had. And this is so important. Fairness, I'm sick and tired of us being in a position that's always begging for something that we rightly deserve. And I really work in our community to try to make a change, to try to make a difference. And I think it's very, very unfair. Like I said, I'm looking at the panel, and it's not well represented for the city of Detroit. So that's what I have to say. The other people have already covered the needs and the concerns of the communities, gerrymandering and all of that has been. But it's all about power. This is about power. And as the Republicans, they want to stay in power. And like now, they're working all over the country, putting up bills to deny our right to exist. We have given all of the free labor, everything, we have given it all, and we deserve more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. 34 and 35. 34 and 35.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Teresa Clarington. I'm a native Detroiter. I am a current Block Club president for Longfellow Block Club. And I just hope you guys be fair. I'm gonna yield the rest of my time to Reverend Anthony. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clarington, for addressing the commission. 35.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Taisha Heath Jalil Webb, and what I would like to know about is our senior homes. During the pandemic, well, first of all, I'm a part of the electoral will for mayor. And during the pandemic, when we went and we did is we made sure that the seniors were okay. The seniors have no families. They have no one. Their apartment buildings, various locations, their apartment buildings are broken down. Some aren't able to bathe, and it's been going on for a while. They have rats, they have roaches. What can we do to help as a whole? What can I do to help also? That's what I'd like to know about the youth. You know, why aren't we using the youth? And why aren't we giving them jobs to help out with the senior homes? What can we do? I'm tired of seeing them on the corner, and I do stop and talk to them, and they just feel like it's nothing else they can do. They feel like this is the life that they have to live. And I just want to play a part in helping them see that it's not. It's little things that we can do to change. Just like, you know, really taking them, employing them, and fixing up the senior homes. That's it, that's all.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak on behalf of underserved communities. 36 and 37.
I was vaccinated a while ago, so I think it's fair I can take my mask off.
My name's Chris McCarris. I grew up in Birmingham, and I've been here off Woodward the last 10 years. And my understanding of what's happened to our state in the 20th century is that we white people have divested from the central cities. So we've taken money and people and power, and like the lady said a minute ago, we carved out the Black neighborhoods so that we could run away real quickly to the suburbs even farther. And so therefore, the fairness that people were talking about in this room means somehow rectifying that problem, those series of problems, and that fairness would actually, if there's fairness for our old cities, my guess is that people who benefited from all that gerrymandering and disinvestment, et cetera, would then say, oh, that's unfair to us now. Thanks.
Thank you for taking the time to address the commission. 37.
All right. Hello, my name is Richard C. Clement. I'm a lifelong Detroiter, and currently I'm an advisor to the Office of State Representative Cynthia A. Johnson on District 5 on policies on public policy and cannabis reform. My job also, I was a census taker in the 2020 census, and I know that the numbers aren't there yet, and they're kind of shaky. My job is to educate the people on how to use the Districtr software to how to draw a district. I sat down the other day, just started drawing or using the software. I'm gonna go out there to encourage more people to use that software. And I had a question about the 2020 census numbers being backloaded into the system because I noticed that it was 2010 data. I do like the community of interest map where you can actually plot communities of interest. The whole thing about gerrymandering and this and that, you know, that's a history thing because we passed this proposal so you can add this commissioner to stop that, right? That's what you're supposed to do. So I'm encouraging my whole community to get on that website and just get your graphic arts on and start drawing. You do have a thing with minority majority districts. I am going to report back to the rep about how this thing works because she wants to learn how to draw it too. Otherwise, I really think it's a pretty cool program to use, and I encourage anyone within the range of my voice to get on it, doggone it, and use the software, submit your maps, and then let's help bash it out, okay? Peace.
Thank you, 37. And when you interact with these ideas and thoughts that you have, please submit them at www.michigan.gov/MICRC so that we can continue the conversation and have as much input as possible. 38 and 39. 38, 39.38, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Colton Dale. I grew up in Harper Woods, born in Harper Woods, then grew up in mostly in Grosse Pointe Woods. Currently a resident of the city of Detroit, and also vice president of the Grosse Pointe Democratic Club, which serves the 5 Grosse Pointe municipalities, Harper Woods, and the east side of Detroit. I'm here to advocate on behalf of the club to keep the 5 Grosse Pointe municipalities and Harper Woods and the east side of Detroit together in all 3, Congress, State Senate, and State House. We are currently together in Congress and State Senate, but we're broken up into 2 districts in the State House. I am advocating to keep us together in all 3. I believe that we have a lot more that binds us together than that keeps us apart. Things such as cultural and recreational facilities, medical facilities, common shopping districts and commercial corridors, common faith communities, educational resources such as Wayne County RESA, Wayne County Community College District, Wayne State University, environmental concerns such as water quality, rising lake levels, and air quality, and the shared values regarding social justice and civic activism. So Again, I am advocating for keeping the 5 Grosse Pointe municipalities and Harper Woods and the east side of Detroit together when creating these new district maps. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to share with the commission this evening. Go ahead, 39.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick. I wanted to come to welcome you to my district. This is the area in which I was born and raised. One of the areas that I think was gerrymandered and not necessarily evenly. And so we want to make sure that when you consider consider redistricting, that we don't have the issues that we have currently, especially the 14th congressional district that runs all the way one way and all the way the other. So again, I'm here wanting to offer my assistance in any way to help the commission and ensure that we have representation evenly and that it makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming to take the time to address the commission. 40. Do we have number 40? Okay, for purposes of the public record, we don't have 40 present, and at this time, we have been sitting for quite a while. And we want to keep the active listening. We want you all to continue to be engaged. Don't all run out and disappear, but we're going to take a 10-minute recess if there are no objections. Hearing no objections, you will see our faces, and let's all come back into the room at 6:47. Everyone back to their seats. Can we have everyone back to their seats and into the room? Into the room. Two quick announcements. We have 4 minutes. If you're interested in signing up for in-person public comment, rush out and do so. Also, someone left a black iPhone at the registration table, a black iPhone at the registration table. I call this meeting of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission back to order at 6:57 p.m. At this time, I'll have the Michigan Department of State staff take roll call.
Good evening, Commissioners. Please say present when I call your name. If you are attending the meeting remotely, please announce during roll call that you are attending the meeting remotely. And unless your absence is due to military duty, announce your physical location by stating the county, city, township, or village, and the state from which you are attending the meeting remotely. I'll start with Doug Clark.
Present.
Juanita Curry.
Present.
Anthony Eid.
Present.
Brittany Kellum.
Present.
Rhonda Lang.
Present, attending remotely from Reed City, Michigan.
Steve Lett.
Present.
Cynthia Orton. MC Rothhorn.
Present.
Rebecca Satella.
Present.
Janice Follett.
Present.
Aaron Wagner.
Present, attending remotely from Charlotte, Michigan.
Richard Weiss.
Present.
Dustin Witches.
Present.
12 commissioners are present and there is a quorum.
Thank you, Michigan Department of State staff. At this time, we are going to move to remote public comment. And if there are more signups for our in-person public comment for this hearing, at the end of our remote public comment period, we'll then return to having folks come into the room and speak to us, just to be transparent as to what is going on right now. Individuals who have signed up and indicated they would like to provide live remote public commentary to the commission will now be allowed to do so. I will hand the floor over to Michigan Department of State staff, who will unmute you. If you are on a computer, you will be prompted by the Zoom app to unmute your microphone and speak. If you are on the phone, a voice will say that the host would like you to speak and prompt you to press *6 to unmute. Department of State staff will introduce you to the room and note that if you experience technical or audio issues and we don't hear from you for 3 to 5 seconds, we will move on to the next person in line and then return to you after they are done speaking. If your audio still does not work, you can email us at redistricting@michigan.gov and we will help you troubleshoot so you can participate during the next public comment period or at a later hearing or meeting. You will have 2 minutes to address the commission, same as in person. Please conclude your remarks when your 2 minutes is ended and you hear the timer. Again, if there is something that you want to say, an area that you're speaking about that you would like to provide further clarification for, please do visit us at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. I'll now hand the floor over to Michigan Department of State staff, who will give us our first remote public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First to speak is Najavana Harvey Quinn. Give us a moment for our staff to unmute you. Apologies, we seem to be experiencing technical difficulties with our first speaker. We will move on to our second speaker and return to Najavana in just a moment. Our second speaker is Scott Brines.
Hello, my name is Scott Brines. I'm in the Wayne County, Detroit, Michigan, and 48209 is one of the communities that receives the most disparities when it comes to environmental justice issues, and that is why it is very important to make sure these lines are drawn in a fair manner. We do share with 48217 also the Marathon area, which, you know, these heavily polluted industrial areas do have so many things in common, and not in common with riverfront communities or the way that this district snakes around all the way up to Pontiac. So those are the things to bear in mind when drawing these lines. Thank you for your time.
For the record, the first speaker has left the Zoom meeting. We will now move on to our third speaker, Cher Connor. Give us one moment to unmute you. Cher, if you're able to unmute yourself, you can address the commission.
Thank you for having me here. And thank you for the commission coming into our city. Firstly, I just want to say, as many that have addressed earlier, that the heart of our city is that we, in the district, when you're considering redistricting, that you would consider being fair and also consider our census and also consider the needs of our city. And that's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you for providing comments to the commission.
Our next public comment participant is Susan Hendricks. Please give us a moment for our staff to unmute you.
My name is Susan Hendricks. I'm actually up from the My name is Susan Hendricks. I'm actually from the Grand Blanc area. I'm here because I was one of the thousands of people that got signatures, canvas for this. Everywhere we went, people felt disenfranchised. They felt like their voices were not being heard. And when they did vote, they were not being represented. I know that this is, I'm excited that you guys are here. This is the fruition of tons of work on individual Michiganders. But what's most important is that when people vote, that they know that they are one person, one vote, that they know that when the votes are counted and done, the legislature numbers, the people, our representatives and our senators, they will represent the numbers of people that voted for them. So that when you look at the numbers of people that voted one way, we don't have a totally different, representation in our houses of Congress. So please just make sure that when people do vote, that the results are going to reflect the numbers in the same proportions, that people know that they are one person, one vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, for providing comments to the commission this evening.
Our next public comment participant is Chakosola Gwyn. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. Give us a moment for our staff to unmute you. Let's just allow it.
Mute. Hi, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You may now address the commission.
Hi, I'm Chakasola Gwen. You said my name right. Yay. I live in Oakland County, but I have relatives who live in Wayne County in Detroit. And the one issue that is very concerning to me is people who have healthcare services, mostly mental health. A lot of the gerrymandering has broken up communities to where if they have a concern, their representative will not, if they believe that the representative will probably not care if they have a concern, like say in Wayne County, the representative lives in Oakland County. A person in Oakland County is not going to care what happens in Wayne County. So I believe that the district should take into consideration the populations where the healthcare need is the greatest as a mental health. Wayne County has, in Detroit, they have a lot of more issues in mental health in Oakland County. And I would love it if all the communities were like kept together within county limits, if possible, so they can have a representative that will be more sympathetic to their needs. And that is pretty much all I want to say. Thank you for taking your time to listen to what I have to say, and I hope you all have a good day.
We appreciate you taking the time to address the commission this evening.
Our next public comment participant is Sonia Hill. Please allow just one moment for our staff to unmute you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Hill, and I'm representing District 3. I came up with this poem and said, hang on to the world as it spin around. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Hold on tight and you will last. Hear the voices of the people on the east side of Detroit, District 3, where we have been looked over and forgotten. But we are strong and resilient, and we ask for fairness across the board for all our people. We can write a vision and make it plain, because united we stand and divided we fall. But the maps that you will produce will tell us all. Take it from me that someday we'll all be free. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill, for addressing the commission.
Our next public comment participant is Keith Harder. Please allow one moment for our staff to unmute you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Keith Harder. I'm a resident of Northwest Detroit. I would echo a lot of the comments that have been spoken here earlier this afternoon and this evening. One of the key phrases that I've been hearing is fairness, and I would implore the commission to use fairness. Obviously, that term is open to interpretation. My urgency or encouragement would be to think of fairness as the needs of the people and the constituents of the state and the counties and communities across the state, rather than partisanship. And I think that would be an excellent guiding light toward using fairness in redrawing the district lines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith, for taking the time to address the commission this evening.
Our next public comment participant is Tamina Rawls. Please allow just one moment for our staff to unmute you.
Hello,
Hello, we can hear you.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Tamina Ross and I represent Redford Township, the mighty District 13. My issue is the process of developing the members of the commission. I feel as though it should be more transparent so we can either have an understanding of how the process takes an open forum, because we don't want individuals that are pretending to be one thing and something else. As you well know, that there's a bit of divisiveness between parties. There's a lot of lying and inconsistencies, and it's causing all kinds of chaos. So I'm hoping that the commission will be transparent and fair. And you guys, good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamina, for taking the time to address the commission.
Next public comment participant is Emma Davis. Emma, please allow us just a moment to unmute you.
Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment today. Several people have spoken already about the importance of recognizing Hamtramck and surrounding areas in Detroit and Highland Park as a community of interest, and I would like to add my voice. My name is Emma Davis. I'm a resident of Detroit and a community development program manager at Global Detroit. Through my work, I engage many residents of this community, particularly Bangladeshi and Yemeni residents in Banglatown, which straddles the Detroit-Hamtramck border. Hamtramck has long attracted immigrants from German farmers to Polish auto workers to today's significant number of Bangladeshi and Yemeni residents. It is also home to a strong concentration of small businesses, and its residents staff and support businesses and organizations across the region. What I would like to emphasize is that the population growth in Hamtramck community has necessitated expansion outside of Hamtramck into Detroit and Highland Park neighborhoods as housing stock has dwindled and become less affordable. Since you are tasked with considering municipal lines when drawing maps, I ask that you be mindful of this, and we will be submitting a map via the portal to specify the exact geographic footprint. Already, residents of this community experience discrepancies in access to resources and programming due to living in different municipalities. So it is all the more imperative that the community be kept whole within state and federal districts so that they can collectively advocate for their needs to be met. Historically, culturally, economically, and environmentally, as others have argued today, the Hamtramck, Banglatown, and greater community should be regarded as a community of interest and kept whole within the districts at every level to ensure the best chances of equitable representation. Thank you.
Emma, we appreciate you taking the time to address the commission as well as utilizing our public comment portal to submit additional information.
Our next public comment participant is Yolanda Greer. Please allow us a moment to unmute you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening, Commission. I would like to say welcome to the great city of Detroit, a blessed town with blessed people. Listen, affordable housing, clean, fresh water, food, new schools, digital tools, safe communities, infrastructure, affordable health care, and the like. I am Minister Yolanda Greer, precinct delegate. As you draw lines, I ask that you draw near with God, pray and ask God for guidance. As your constitutional duty and moral obligation to set the future preference path of all of the children here in Michigan. We all are very privy to have the affordability of all of these things collectively together, but we must look at these lines as not just a line, but as people that rightfully deserve to have all God-given rights. So I thank God for each one of you. I'm praying for you as you pray for us. And when we draw these lines, again, draw near to God, and God bless you all. We love you. Peace be unto you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Greer, for taking the time to address the commission.
Our next and final public comment participant is Kabibi Blount Dorn. Please allow us just one moment to unmute you.
Good evening.
My name is Kibibi Thorn. I'm a resident of Detroit in the 48201 zip code. I want to thank the commission for your work to take public comments and get feedback from Detroit residents as you draw new districts for our state. I am concerned about the continuity of districts within the city of Detroit and as well as Hamtramck and Highland Park and our close-in suburbs such as Dearborn, Ferndale, Royal Oak, and keeping the districts in such a way that's contiguous so that our communities in Detroit are well represented in our congressional districts. And I support having a single district that includes all the neighborhoods of the city of Detroit and doesn't divide our city up into small portions that are included with lots of far out suburbs that have different concerns and different different priorities from the residents of the city of Detroit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kabibi, for providing comments to the commission this evening.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
our first public comment participant who left the meeting has now rejoined. So our final public comment for tonight will be from Najanava Harvey Quinn. Please allow us one moment to unmute you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you all for having this meeting. My name is Najanava Harvey Quinn. I'm from the 48221 zip code. And I represent Clean Smoke Community Investment Project. We are really concerned about the representation impact of the lines that are being drawn, and we want to also uphold that we hope that it's redistrict fair and honest. And I want you all to keep in mind the impact that it will have on future generations along the lines of funding our communities and funding the programs that we need to make sure that our communities can flourish and come back from the divestment of previous districting. Thank you, and that is my time.
Thank you, Najwa. We appreciate you taking the time to address the commission. And confirming with Michigan Department of State, does that conclude our remote public comment?
There is no further public comment.
Thank you. At this time, with no more remote public comment and no further, you're 40. So we'll go back to our in-person public commentary. And as a reminder for our in-person public commentary, you'll have 2 minutes to address the commission.
It's okay to,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
oh, is it all right to give a public comment? I was out in the hall when you called 40. Is after the break?
Yes, it's okay if you're
Okay.
speaking.
I just want to suggest an alternative. I know you can't do it, but for future thinking, Ferenczi wrote that we should have one house in the state and have proportional representation instead of having a house and a Senate in the state. Ferenczi wrote that article in Metro Times years ago. And I like that idea. And he said, say you could set anybody gets over 6% can go represent that 6%. So if you had proportional representation, you wouldn't have to move these boundaries all the time. You just proportionalize the vote differently. When you do the census, instead of trying to figure out these districts of interest plus get the numbers to match the interest. So you could just get the interest boundaries and then do that. And also I like approval voting instead of plurality. Right now, these big money spenders, they have an advantage in an election. They can pack it with extra candidates to split the votes away from their opponents and so forth. Well, rank order, a lot of people think that's the answer, but approval voting, actually, if you go to Center for Election Science, their website, they promoted approval voting in North Dakota, And just recently in St. Louis, they got it. So you can vote for as many people as you want. You just can't vote for the same person more than once. So that leaves the strategy up to the voter, not up to these people that are running the candidates. And I think that'd be a big improvement in our election system to go for something like that, because what you're asked to do is possibly not possible. I don't know. And this way, it'll adapt to the changes and people won't get so confused about where the boundaries are. There's too many of them. You know, when you think about it, there's city, county, state, school board, federal, you know, and all these different districts. This way, you might be able to come up in the future. I'm not saying you can do it, but good luck.
Thank you so much for taking the time to address the commission. With number 40 being our last in person and we have no more remote public comment, at this time we'll move along the agenda to our acknowledgements. Without objection, we'll now have acknowledgements brought to us by our General Counsel, Julianne Pastula. And again, thank you so much, Detroit, for providing both our in-person and remote public comment. It's such an honor to be here in my city. Julianne, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you again to Fellowship Chapel and the City of Detroit for welcoming us this evening. The commission would like to thank all of the volunteers that staffed the event to help make it a great success, and also to all of the members of the public who either attended and didn't speak, or those who attended and provided public comment. Thank you as well for your input in making tonight a success. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, General Counsel. As a reminder, please utilize our public comment portal and fill it up with all, even if it's not good things that will help us make this challenging task easier. We truly do depend on your input at this time. With all items on the agenda complete and no further business from the commission, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Witches, second made by Commissioner Lett. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand and signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, raise your hand and signify with nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 7:24 p.m. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. Be well and be safe.